Oh, you're on the John Fredericks Radio Network, the John Fredericks Radio app. I am your Godzilla of the truth in America, your oracle of the deplorables. I want to thank you for being with us today. Morgan Griffith joining us. We got a lot to talk about. We got Virginia. We got problems. We got all kinds of issues going on. This power grab by the Democrats to take away 4 seats could affect not only Virginia for a very long time. It's going to affect the midterms. It could affect the future direction of the country for a generation. If we lose these midterms, and this power obscene grab of 4 seats has got right now my full attention and my full focus. You just can't have this. Joining me now, Morgan Griffith. Morgan, see if I can figure this out. We had some issues here. Morgan, thanks for your patience there. I had a little thing that happened here. I had to clean the studio. Something spilled all over the place. Anyway, thank you for your patience. Morgan, we got 2 ways to beat this. It's got my full attention, and then we'll get to the shutdown. This thing in Virginia. Number 1 is through the courts. I understand the Supreme Court of Virginia eventually is going to have to rule on whether the first one they passed, that the Democrats passed the ballot initiative. Was there an intervening election? 1 million people had already voted. It's probably a chance. We'll talk about that in a minute. And if that fails, then we have to beat this at the ballot box in a referendum in April. And right now, my concern is we have no infrastructure to do that. And I'm determined to put one together as quickly as we can. Morgan, go ahead.
Well, you're right. That's step 1 is to go through the court systems. There's several problems there. Excuse me, John. And then, of course, there's a timing issue, not just with the fact that there was not an intervening election. You can't, the Constitution doesn't say that the intervening election can be half done or be 20% done or 5% done. It says there has to be an intervening election. When you have hundreds of thousands, before they even made an announcement they were going to do this, who had already voted, and near on 1 million by the time they actually took the vote in each house on a resolution, I submit to you that an election has not been intervening. I was denied my constitutional right to take a look at how my delegate voted and to determine whether or not I wanted to vote for or against that person. And Democrats have said, well, if you vote in the morning, you lose information, things change. And while that's true, it has still, the election isn't being changed by an act of the House of Delegates and the state Senate voting on a resolution in the middle of a voting. That never happens. Occasionally, something can happen during the day. But just because the election isn't over doesn't mean it's an intervening election. That's what the Democrats have to argue. Oh, the election wasn't over yet, so we can do whatever we want to. It's ridiculous on its face. Stop and think about it, John. What if they called everybody back into session on Monday and they voted to change the Constitution or something else that might require an intervening election, like a pay raise or something along those lines, and they didn't vote on it until 10 o'clock in the morning? Are you telling me that that's okay? I don't think it is. And that's where the Democrats have to be arguing. I think on its face, that makes this invalid. They can do it in 2028 for the 2028 elections. They've got time to do that. But they don't have time to do it, I think, for the 2026 elections. There's a couple of legal issues that will come up, but we've got to wait for the timing on that. And then you have the timing of the elections itself. And I don't know what the Democrats are going to do, but you have to have time to, if they succeed, if we can't beat this at the ballot box in April, in the middle of, when nobody's thinking about elections, if we can't beat it then, they still have to get maps done and approved, challenged in the courts, and then it becomes a federal issue. Is there sufficient time to run a full federal election, a full, fair, and open federal election in the fall of 2026? Well, we'll see. Right now it's too early to say. But that's a timeline that they also have to deal with. And then, of course, we have the opportunity, if we all wake up and we all start working and remind people this is coming. But right now, we don't even know what day in April it's going to be. Could be May, could be late March. That there's going to be a vote by the people of Virginia to go away from what they said they wanted 5 years ago. And I saw in the clips this morning that one of the leaders of the movement from 5 years ago to change the Constitution said he thought it was morally wrong. I don't know whether he's a Republican or a Democrat. I suspect he's neither. He's probably an independent, but his
Brian
goal was to
Cannon,
make it nonpartisan.
That's Brian Cannon. Brian's
Yes.
a friend of mine. Brian led a tireless fight to fix these maps and get it in the hands of a commission. George Allen was part of the movement, as you know. I was part of the movement. He fought for 5 years in order to get some semblance of fair maps in Virginia, which he did. That's Brian Cannon's organization. And I forget the name of it back, but he fought for that, Morgan, tooth and nail. I mean, I must have went to 50 to 70 events he had with George Allen and others in order to get this done. And then it passed on the ballot 70 to 30 because Virginians liked the way it was done. Now that is getting ripped up in 3 months and peed on and just thrown in the bird cage like it doesn't matter, like we have no constitution. And so yeah, he's fired up about it, and I'm fired up about it. But you're right. You're 100% right. I hope we beat it in the courts, but we can't wait. Here's my point. We can't wait until, the second week in February or March to start fighting this in April, because we will get crushed like they did in California. We got to start now, telling people now, get ready for the power grab in April. And somebody came in early and said, we need to be telling people now, if you live in, I don't know, pick an area, Salem, you're going to be fine. But if you live in Danville or you live in outside of Lynchburg, you're going to be represented by somebody in Northern Virginia who could care if you were dead or alive. That's what's going to happen.
And here's and I do have to make this clear, because I was involved in partisan redistricting in my days in the Virginia House, and so I would tell you that I never had a problem with partisan redistricting, but the voters said no, and they said it very clearly, and they didn't say it in 1950; they said it in 2020, a mere 5 years ago. The voters went to the polls and in overwhelming numbers said, no, we want to get it out of the back rooms. We want to get it out there where, we feel like there's a nonpartisan process. If the politicians can't work it out, then we'll throw it to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court picked two special masters, one Republican, one Democrat, and they drew the state in numbers that fairly much reflect what the people wanted. As you can see in the last election, while I didn't like it, the Democrats were able to win, even with these districts drawn fairly. They were able to win a supermajority in the Virginia House. And as much as I may dislike that, it wasn't because of gerrymandering. It was because that's what the voters of Virginia said. And that's why people like it. But if the voters hadn't come out and said that this is what they wanted, then that would be one thing. And another point, of course, is the Constitution clearly says, the Virginia Constitution clearly says, you only do this once every 10 years. Now, I feel more strongly about that than the issue of, whether it's partisan or nonpartisan long term, because it is disruptive, and there are lots of states that do it, but Virginia never has. At least not since the early 70s when they wrote the new Constitution. But it is disruptive to the system to have redistricting done more often than once every 10 years. And look, I'm not a Texas legislator, never have been. I would tell the Texans that. I would tell the Ohioans that. Ohio apparently does it fairly regularly. Whatever state is doing it, I think the Virginia way, the Virginia model, that you do it once every 10 years and you like it or you hate it, it's partisan, it's nonpartisan, do it once every 10 years. Everybody knows where the lines are, and you can shape your campaigns. Right now, everybody getting ready to run for Congress, incumbents and non-incumbents, are going to have to be prepared. Filing under the old system starts, you can start getting your signatures on January 1st. They won't even have the new maps out till April, but if you don't file in the old district and the plebiscite, the vote on the changes fails, as I hope it will, if you haven't already gotten your paperwork ready, you're out. So it's causing huge confusion, and it will continue to do so. I think it's bad policy on the more than once every 10 years, and I think it's a betrayal of the voters who just 5 years ago said in overwhelming numbers they didn't want it to be backroom deals anymore. They wanted it to be a nonpartisan type process.
All true, all right, all sensible, all common sense, all pure. Problem is, you're fighting leftist, communist radicals that want to strip these congressmen out in order to go forward with their anti-Trump, pro-super leftist agenda. And they'll stop at nothing. I mean, I have to say that I was taken aback by this. I was really taken aback by it. I was taken aback that people like Scott Sorovel, who I know personally, and you also know, who I consider a friend of mine, people of that nature, Janet, I guess Janet's not there anymore, but Barbara Favola, I mean, people that are reasonable that I know for years in the state Senate, years. They're good people, just don't agree with them politically. That they would go along with this and champion it. Like I'm blown away by it. And after a week of just shaking my head, now we got to do something. I'm determined here to do something, because what'll happen is our people they don't even know what this is or know where they understand it. And so trying to get them out in a month with TV ads is not going to work. I mean, we need to build an infrastructure to beat this at the ballot box. And right now we don't have one. And that's what's got me fired up today, Morgan.
Well, and you should be. And I was talking, going over some of these issues yesterday with one of my colleagues on the Rules Committee. And, I said, look, our problem is it's going to take a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of organization. I think the voters will reject it if they know about it and turn out. But generally in a special election, you're looking from 8 to 15% turnout.
Max.
I mean,
max.
We're not looking at a presidential year or even a gubernatorial year, and we're looking at
10%, and they have
probably realistic.
Yeah, and they have they have a methodology and the money to get their voters out, and we don't. And so it's like we got to go. I take that bus and I got to go to meeting after, kind of like we did for 10 days. Got to go to meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and inform everybody what's going on and tell them to tell everybody they know. And this isn't about, I don't like Winsome, I don't like John Reed, I don't like this, I don't like John Fredericks. It isn't about any of that. It's about, you're going to be represented by Louise Lucas. She's going to be your congressperson, and you live in Southwest, you live in District 6, hello, Louise. I mean, this is who you're going to have to go to if you got a problem. And until we inform people, forget about it.
Well, and here's something that Democrats ought to think about that I'm not sure they've fully thought through yet. I mean, there's no question that there will be Democrats who control these seats when they redo it. But if I was an incumbent Democrat and my district was being split into 4 parts so that you could make the first, the second, the fifth more Democrat, and they divided up my district, if I was Vindman, even McClellan, I'd be very concerned that while a Democrat will be elected in that seat, it might not be me, because the way they're going to divide these things up, they could very easily lose a nomination fight to somebody they haven't even thought of yet. And I will tell you that, I mean, I'm already preparing for 4 or 5 different scenarios coming up in the spring, because you could find yourself in a mass meeting. Well, a mass meeting, it's whoever shows up, at the high school gym. And we just don't know what's going to happen because it's all up in the air. And if that's the case, you could find, a majority of the current Democrats losing in the nomination process. That's not to say they won't get the Democrat seats, that Hakeem Jeffries won't get his votes in D.C. that he wants. But if you're the incumbent and you have seniority that helps Virginia, even as a Democrat, you may suddenly find yourself on the outside looking in. Let's get shut down.
I mean, they could also put John McGuire and Ben Klein in the 9th district. And then what? Then they're like, well, okay, well, I'll just run. I mean, they could dump everybody in the 9th district and just find out where they live, even though that doesn't matter. Just carve them in there. I mean, this thing is so obscene. It's so gross. I'm just shocked that we're going forward. But, after a week of trying to evaluate this thing, we need to put something together. I mean, I've talked to you. I've talked to Rob Whitman. I talked to Dr. Whitman. I talked to the governor. I mean, we got to do something. And, we got to marshal like the Brian Cannons, everybody that we know that can help us put together a fight, put together a defense on this thing, and not do what they did in California, Morgan, which was basically a grift. I mean, they took a lot of money. They ran ads. They did text. They abandoned the effort on the ground. They got beat 2-1 and emboldened the governor there like nobody's tomorrow. You know what he said the other day? If I knew we were going to win this big, I'd have made it 52-0 instead of 48-4. I mean, that's how these people are thinking. Like, screw you. It's scary, man. We got to fight. What do you think, Morgan?
Oh, we have to build an operation statewide for that election, but it takes a lot of money. And so we need, there's not a lot of money in Southwest Virginia, a lot of good people, but not a lot of money.
That's right.
It's going to take some citizens, whether they be Democrat or Republican, who just see this as a betrayal of the people when they said they wanted it to be nonpartisan going forward, to live up to that. And, it's very interesting because the Democrats say, well, we want to be nonpartisan too, but not until we get our political way. And, the Republicans did redistricting under the partisan system twice in the last 135 years. The Democrats were able to do it roughly 10 times during that time period. And now the Democrats are saying, well, we don't like what's happening in Texas, so we're going to disregard what the people of Virginia said they wanted. It doesn't make sense. Texas is Texas. Every state has different constitutions. Some states do redistricting more often than 10 years. I think that's wrong. But some states do that. But Virginia's not done that. We've done it every 10 years. And it's not always been pretty, but we've gotten it done, and then we've moved on.
Well, we got to get this done. Let's get to, good to talk to you, by the way. Morgan Griffith with us, Republican, last man standing really in the 9th district, the fighting 9th, is fighting for us. And he's going to be under we're going to be under a lot of pressure here, but we got a good team. We got the governor on board. We've got our 5 congressmen, obviously. We've got me. We're going to recruit Brian Cannon. I'm going to get everybody I know and their brother to join this fight because I think it's that egregious and all hands on deck. And I don't want to hear any infighting and any more state committee meetings. We're talking about ranked choice voting. Like, stop. Okay. All we need to be focused on is April. And if we can do that and come together, we've proven that we can win. I'm not interested in any more infighting until then. Fight like my wife Ann always says when we have something very important to do and, we start squabbling about it. She says, let's get this done, John, and then we'll fight later. In fact, do it. Let's get it done right. And then I'll give you a license to fight with me here. license, fight after it's done. And I think that's what we have to do. We have to bring a coalition together. We don't have to agree on everything. It doesn't matter. We don't have to have a rhino test or a MAGA test or a purity test to get let in. Like, all that doesn't matter now. We got to save these seats, because if we lose these 4 seats, you're going to lose the House, maybe the country. Time for squabbling's over, in my judgment. But that's just me. It'll continue to go on in the whatever is remaining of the Republican Party of Virginia. Let's get Congressman to the shutdown. You had a procedural vote yesterday that went through. What happens now?
Well, the procedural vote was really interesting. The Democrats threw a lot of amendments in, and in fairness, some of them are ones that I might have voted for in a different circumstance. But here's the problem, and they kept saying, "Oh, you can do it, you can do it." What they're looking for is a longer shutdown. I mean, I hate to say it. Now, like I said, a couple of the amendments had some justification to them. The problem is that because the Senate took so long to get a bill finally over to us, that we could have ironed out in a day or so, at worst case scenario, the one that they finally ended up with. And here's the problem. Even on the stuff that I think is legitimate, if we voted last night not to put this thing on the floor, and we actually didn't vote until early this morning to get it done, put it on the floor, the Senate doesn't come back until next Monday. Then they would have additional procedural wrangling. At a minimum, it would be an extra 6 days, 5-6 days of shutdown. And my guess is with the procedural wrangling that the Senate has to go through, you're probably looking at as much as 10 to 15 additional days of shutdown. My people have suffered, and they've suffered enough at the hands of Democrats who don't care, who were fighting for a political point. They aren't going to get it, but that's not the issue. The issue is we've got to stop this shutdown. We've got to get our air traffic going again. We have to make sure SNAP is safe. We have to make sure that our health centers, our community health centers, are getting the money that they're supposed to get. I mean, they were complaining in the summer that we've got cuts over the next 10 years to some of the ways we reimburse things, and yet they're perfectly fine to shut some of this stuff down for, we're in the 42nd day of a shutdown. It has to end, and we can end it tonight, and I think we will.
End it tonight. Get this thing open. Okay, let's shift gears to another topic. Morgan Griffith with us. I'm beside myself. Maybe you can help me, talk me off the ledge here. I'm beside myself reading about all the different Obamacare replacement plans now we have by various senators. Ron Johnson's got one. Senator Scott's got one. This guy's got one. The guy from Kansas. Are you kidding me? It's Thanksgiving. These plans they could have rolled out last year. They had a year to do this. And they're rolling it out now with 3 weeks to go before Obamacare subsidies expire and people get sticker shock and they can't get insurance. I'm reading this stuff. I'm like, what have I missed here? You're trying to do this in 3 weeks before Christmas? Look, I don't know how you guys are going to do this, but what's going to happen with these subsidies? And are you in favor of just capping the income, getting rid of illegals, and getting this thing off the table now until we can figure it out?
Well, I mean, if you cap the Democrats aren't going to vote for that. If you cap the income, if you get rid of the 20% of the people receiving and understand this is not your basic Obamacare ACA subsidies. This is the premium tax credits that were given as a part of a COVID relief bill that were supposed to expire at the end of 5 years. But if you put a monetary cap on it, pick a number, 120,000.
Right.
Yeah, it puts you over 400% for a family of 3. I said last night, I think a family of 4, but it's actually a family of 3, over $100,000
right.
Of a household income.
Right.
You cap it somewhere, that's great, but you've got to stop the shadow enrollees, and we can do that. It's a very simple matter. You charge $5 a year. $5 a year so that they have to be re-enrolled, because right now they're automatically re-enrolled, and what the Democrats want to do is keep re-enrolling them automatically, and 20% of those people don't exist, and we're paying. It's a wasteful. It might be fraudulent, but it's clearly wasteful. The taxpayers are paying 20% of the money for those premium tax credits for non-entities. It just goes straight to the insurance company. The family, John Doe's family, doesn't know that they're getting it. John Doe doesn't know he's getting it. They don't even have any idea that the insurance companies are getting money in their name because they don't have to be re-enrolled. So you charge a $5 a year re-enrollment fee just to make sure the people are still alive and are not on 3 different plans. Because in theory, you could be on multiple plans under the premium tax credit scheme. And in an emergency situation, while I didn't vote for it, in an emergency situation, you might understand it. But we've now had 5 years. The Democrats have had 5 years to come up with a solution to at least that problem. That's the biggest one, 20% waste. That doesn't go to anybody except insurance companies and their executives. Holy moly. We got to stop that. So there's a couple of tweaks we can make before the end of the year and still make sure that people don't see the huge sticker shock that they're anticipating. But understand, the Democrats have now admitted, both in the House and in the Senate, that Obamacare as originally designed does not work, and they have to have something extra to make it work. And even then, your premiums are going to go up. That plan was a disaster for the American householder, as we always said, and it hasn't worked. It's a failure. We do need to go back and start over and figure out something that works for the American family. But you're right. All we can do is tweak it between now and December 31st. We can't be rolling out whole new plans.
No, exactly.
We can tweak it.
It's insane.
I'm for that.
I mean, what I'm reading is insane. It's insanity. And like Tim Scott.
And John, just so you know, I rolled out that I was willing to do some of these things and to work on it.
What happened?
In September before the shutdown. If they hadn't had the shutdown, we would have already solved this problem for the American families. But no, we have to have political theater and drama on CNN and get all the base on the Democrat side to think you're really fighting hard and the Republicans are heartless. No, I had proposals out there to talk about this and thoughts on this. We actually put some of it in the House version of the big bill, and it was stripped out by the Senate. But some of these ideas have been out there for months and months on how to tweak it. Completely redoing it, going to take us more than just a few tweaks.
Are you going to put that forward again now in December?
As soon as we get the government open, it's my understanding that we're going to start talking about it. It may not be my plan. It may be somebody else's plan. That's fine. Because now we only have a few weeks to get it done. So,
are you going to be able to get, are you going to be able, you got a, 3-seat majority or something in there. No Democrats are going to vote for it.
I think we can.
Are you going to get this done? Because go ahead.
I think some of the Democrats will vote to get rid of the shadow people. If we vote to get rid of the shadow people, we will save the taxpayers 20% of it's billions of dollars.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt anybody. They don't exist. It's a scam.
They don't exist. That's right. We just say, all you got to do is say, yes, I want the insurance, as opposed to just automatically being re-enrolled. That's all it is.
Takes a
minute. You want to make it $1? You want to compromise and make it $2.50? Fine. I don't care. The $5 is just a placeholder to make sure that somebody says, yes, I still exist and I want the insurance at this address in Salem, Virginia, or in Florida, or wherever I live now. And I live still in Salem. But wherever somebody lives, just say, yeah, I want the insurance. That gets rid of 20% of the cost of the premium tax credit. Boom.
Otherwise, the insurance companies get the government money for a person that doesn't exist.
Or they have 2 policies, or they have maybe passed away, regrettably.
Yeah, but they don't exist, or they passed away, or they don't want it anymore. But the tax, but the money is still going to the insurance company as if that person was enrolled. Right. They'll never claim anything because they don't exist. So it's this insurance.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you can't claim anything if you're not there, or if you have a different policy and forgot about it, and you got something better. It's like, for instance, I'm 67. Let's say I was on Obamacare and I was part of this thing. Well, now I'm on, what is it? Medicare, right? When you're 65 or something. It's, by the way, the premiums for that are as high as when I had private insurance. Anyway, if I could be getting because I was in Obamacare, I think Ann had us in there. I could be getting re-enrolled, and they could
That's
be
correct.
getting money from me, but I've got a Medicare card, and when I go to the doctor or something, I'm on that I'm on that single payer, whatever the hell it is. I just give them the card because I'm, senior citizen.
That's right.
But then they could be paying for me on the other one, and I'd have no idea.
I mean, if I was an insurance executive, I would be with the Democrats on this.
Sure.
Because the Democrats want to just keep doing it. I mean, they put an amendment in last night, so we're just going to keep it going the way it is for 3 years. It's 3 more years of waste of 20% minimum. I mean, we can argue about the rest of it, but that's just pure waste. Yeah. It's ridiculous. All right. I got to run. I know you have other things to do too.
Griffith.house.gov. Griffith.house.gov. Morgan, thank you. We got to go. We've got Mr. Pack coming up here in a minute after this word from our sponsors. Stay with us.